Everybody, I'd like to talk about something very near and dear to my heart today. Looney Tunes and guns. I don't know if you're aware of this, but Warner Brothers, the wholly owned subsidiary of the AT&T infotainment complex, is rebooting Looney Tunes, but they're taking the guns away from Elmer Fudd and Yosemite Sam. Hey everybody, I'm Steve Green with Bill Whittle and Scott Ott, and this is Right Angle, brought to you by the members of BillWhittle.com. Gentlemen, number one, we don't need to reboot Looney Tunes. They were perfect for their time, and now we need something new while we continue to enjoy the old classics. That said, I was shocked when I learned that Elmer Fudd, the duck and rabbit hunter, would be losing his shotgun, and Yosemite Sam, the Old West gunslinger, would be losing his guns. And I thought, oh no, they're going to take Looney Tunes and turn them into Smurfs where everybody's just smiles and gets along. And, there's like one Gargamel that everybody teams up against. But guys, it turns out that's not the case. All the rest of the cartoon violence is going to stay just like it was. You can blow somebody up, stick a piece of dynamite down, down somebody's pants. That's fine. Set a booby trap, with the make them fall down into the canyon. That's fine. All the classic Looney Tune comedic violence is going to stay. Scott, isn't it curious that they're keeping everything but the guns?
No agenda here. Nothing to see here, folks. Move along. I'm actually delighted to hear that there's a good possibility that the portable manhole cover, or the portable manhole rather, will continue to exist. I just thought that was the greatest tool ever, to be able to reach into your satchel and pull out a shadow, essentially, and lay it on the ground, and then somebody would fall through it. So yeah, that's you're right from the upshot there. It's excuse the word shot. It was for its time brilliant and really kind of an expression of that time that has some classic durability. But you can't recreate stuff like that. It's like somebody going to make It's a Wonderful Life today, It's just like, first of all, just don't do that. But secondly, the idea that somehow you could have a character that was a hunter and another that was a gunslinger, and we're going to do that without guns, and then replace them with knives and other, explosives and things like that. It just goes to show you that the people who are anti-gun in this world really have something beyond an agenda of just making sure that people don't get hurt. That's really not the point. They're okay with people getting hurt in other ways, as long as a gun is not involved, because that's a political issue where, I guess they're endorsing the Al-Qaeda way of killing people here with explosives. But for most people, that's not the threat you face day to day in this world, or the perceived threat. I think it's going to fail. I think people won't watch it. I think, adults will hate it because they remember how good it can be. I think kids will hate it because they just won't get it. They won't understand why any of this is happening. It'll be referential in a way that eludes them. And so I predict it'll be canceled mid-season.
We can only hope, so I can go back to watching the originals. By the way, the originals are still available as a box set on DVD. I bought them years ago. I raised my kids on them. They love them, and I suggest you buy that box set while you still can. God only knows when they'll decide you can't be allowed to see that anymore.
Okay, Bill, Boomer, what's a DVD?
All right, Bill, this story actually made me look back on my childhood, growing up Saturday mornings and school day afternoons watching Looney Tunes, and I witnessed some horrible things. I watched a duck get shot in the face so hard that his bill swung around to the back of his head. I saw a coyote tricked into running full speed into the rock face of a mountain so hard that he was flattened. I saw a cat get hit in the face with an iron so hard that his face became iron-shaped. I had to see opera in one of these cartoons. Yeah. It was horrible, the things I had to be exposed to. But, Bill, I don't think I've seen anything as horrible as the rebooted, gunless Elmer Fudd, who has been given, I'm not making this up, a scythe with which to hunt Bugs Bunny. And here's a clip courtesy of Warner. Bill, what do you think they should do with Yosemite Sam since he's not going to have his guns? Should they just give him a pickaxe and let him go to town on everybody?
The clip that we saw didn't have Yosemite Sam, and it was just Elmer Fudd.
Yeah.
And Scott's already covered the gun thing, so let me make some other comments here. Because this is a serious issue. It really is. I mean, I'm like you. I grew up on the originals, and they were clever. They were brilliantly clever. And Bugs Bunny and Elmer Fudd and Yosemite Sam are names that we know because they were characters and they were clever. I grabbed a still from the clip, and it's what we used for the thumbnail for the show. And the reason I did it was because there's a couple things in this one particular frame that I found that are really indicative of this. One of them is that in the frame, Bugs Bunny is pushing. He's got like a bunch of explosives on one side, and he's got a bunch of like a barrel of TNT on the other. And as his hands come towards frame, they're completely stretched out, like some kind of acid kind of a perspective thing. And I'll tell you why that's important. Because what they're doing is they're cheating the reality, they're cheating the physics of the cartoon in order to get that barrel in there. They're having Bugs Bunny essentially have Elastic Man arms like from Fantastic Four, so they can get another barrel of explosives, which doesn't belong there in the first place. But they're basically playing with Bugs's anatomy to get a cheap joke. But here's the main thing about this. I know this sounds like it's serious. It is serious. In the frame that I grabbed, you've got Elmer Fudd, and he's looking down the rabbit hole where Bugs just was, and he's got a pair of rabbit ears, right? And then behind him is Bugs Bunny with a bunch of TNT. Now, that means two rabbits. You could see a case where Elmer Fudd has the ears, and then maybe just the back of Bugs Bunny because his head is you know what I mean? But you can't do two sets of ears because that means two rabbits. And this sounds crazy, but it's the most important thing. It doesn't matter what the rules are, but once the rules have been established, you have to follow them.
Yeah.
That's it. Once you start breaking the rules, then you're done. Really good analysis on this about The Simpsons, how Homer started out as a guy who did a bunch of stupid things, was a fundamentally good guy. He was just a good dad and a good-hearted guy. Then they just got so lazy, they just had him doing ridiculous things. In this clip, there's like Bugs Bunny appears like in 4 different places by magic. He's just here, he's here. They never did that in the old days because it's lazy. And the final thing I'll say about this clip that I saw is that in the original, they would play some dialogue, they'd play some fun, they'd do some satire on things. Maybe Bugs would flirt, or look like Mae West or something like that. And then he'd hand somebody instead of a champagne glass, he'd hand him a dynamite stick, and it would blow up, and you'd get a little laugh. But this is 1 minute and 30 seconds of nothing but explosions. It's just nothing but explosions. It's like all these idiots can see out of the Looney Tunes cartoons was the impact, the explosion. They don't understand that the explosion paid off what had been set up. You got to set something up, and then you got to pay it off. And they're just doing nothing but payoffs. And the more they throw in there, they think the funnier and the more Looney Tune-esque it becomes. It's horrific. And this is the modern plague on the pop culture, Steve. Every time they try to reboot anything now, the reason that the reboots are so terrible is that the writers don't understand the original material, and much worse than that, they have nothing but contempt for it. They don't love it. They don't respect it. They simply are doing it for pay, and whether it's true to the original or not doesn't matter. This still of him holding rabbit ears, while I can see Bugs's rabbit ears, he's behind him. It's like that's all you need to know. You couldn't do that in the old days because that would defy the rules. Bugs can go down any hole he wants to, come out of any hole he wants to, but you can't have two sets of ears, one with being held by by Elmer Fudd and the other without. And this is a perfect example of the lack of respect and the lack of understanding and the laziness and the lack of talent that has been assigned to this. And it's needless to say, it's going to last 2 episodes, but now I can't unsee this,
Bill, imagine my horror when you made me realize that Warner is going to make 200 short versions of The Last Jedi.
No, yeah, like Picard, the Picard series or Star Trek Discovery. Yeah. That's not Star Trek. No. And it's not Star Trek because the people writing it were not fans of Star Trek. They're social justice warriors, and they think they can influence people by throwing the Star Trek name on things. And all that happens is you destroy the brand. And I think that's intentional.
No, I think you're right. They can't create, so they destroy. What are you going to do? I when I saw this story and I read the decision by the executive producer, whose name just escapes me, to remove guns.
Was it Satan?
Might have been from 2 beloved characters. I mean, imagine 7-year-old me walking around my grandparents' backyard with a stick I'd found that was about the right size and shape I could pretend it was a shotgun, crawling around my backyard, be very, very quiet. It was so much fun. Can't do that with a scythe. It's creepy. It's like an 80s slasher movie made by acid-taking hippies. It's just wrong. So who are they doing this for? Well, they're not doing it for baby boomers or Gen Xers or even millennials who were raised on the originals. They're not doing it for today's kids who aren't going to tell the difference because they've either seen the DVDs and they'll never see these new ones, or the new ones will just get canceled mid-season, as Scott suggested, and I guess Bill did too. They're making it for each other. Their only audience is Hollywood, DC, and New York people exactly like themselves. That's who they're trying to please. Well, good luck building an audience on that basis, guys. Go ahead, make your cartoons, take the gun away. You had to take guns away from somebody. You'll want to take guns away from somebody, and the only people you could manage to take the guns from were a couple of cartoon characters. Well, congratulations, you're living the dream. And that is your right angle on that, brought to you by the members of BillWhittle.com. If you'd like to become a member, we'd love to have you on board. Click on over. Sign up today. Do it. Please. We need your support. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.